broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Good evening, everyone. If you are tuning into AfterBuzzTV.com, you've come to the right place. This is the after show for The Amazing Race Season 25, episode of 12, the finale, All or Nothing. I'm your host, James Wallington, and with me across the table is...
Hey, everybody. I'm Justin Nichols. Good to be here. And, of course, the lovely Jessica Carroll. I know you guys love her. Love to see her, but she is up being the holidays with her family in Canada. So, happy holidays to Jess. And,
we
of course,
miss you.
All of you watching and listening to our show, happy holidays, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Happy holidays. Excuse me if I'm a zombie tonight, Justin. I've been ridiculously busy, as you know, because I was not able to join in on the finale festivities. And you know I would never miss that if I didn't have a good reason to miss it.
I figured it must have been a very, very good reason because let me tell you, festivities were had and you weren't there. But you know what? We saw you earlier in the week with
true.
Amazing Race festivities. So you got to see some of your racers.
That's true. I did meet Sam, did the Survivor stuff. So it was a good week last week, but I'm just bummed that I could not be with you in the Amazing Race stuff.
Well, you were there in
spirit because I saw the pictures.
Oh God!
My phone kept blowing up at all hours of the night from you and from Jason and Amy, who were in town for the finale.
2 seasons ago, yeah.
God, I love them. And then just in Tim and TJ. So I loved that everyone kept keeping me in the loop of all the festivities. But it looked like you guys had a really great time.
It was great. Yeah, we'll get into that later.
So let's talk about the finale before we have our special guest callers.
Ooh, that's right. A big surprise for our listeners and watchers out there. There might be, but there might be some very, very special guests calling in tonight. I would love to be able to talk to them. But my overall thoughts on the season and this episode was, I know I really liked it, but I think I really liked it because I really did not like season 24, the All-Stars. I felt really that we dropped the ball a little bit as far as The Amazing Race goes, and so I was really glad to see fresh people, fresh faces, and it seemed like a fresh restart, and I really, really liked this season, and I love the personalities.
I agree. I think overall this season was much better than the All-Stars one. Yeah. And let alone the finale itself, too. I found it to be a lot more exciting because I felt like it was so unpredictable because they were all so neck and neck. I feel... with Brooke and Robbie getting lost as much as they did and knowing the LA area and seeing like where they were driving and like all the different surroundings to them, I was like, they're out of the race. They're just not going to catch up at all. So to me, it was just really exciting because you just had no idea who was going to win this season. So I agree with you in that regard.
Yeah. So, and I think it was fun too for us because we live in Los Angeles, and so in a lot of these cities that we talk about, I don't really understand like where they're at geographically or how the city is laid out. It totally adds a different level of excitement, but also just like, oh no, when you live in this city, because the directions, I mean, we'll get into it later, but the directions that were given to the wrestlers actually sounded right. And I saw on the map,
they were.
Like, that's how I would go. But then you see them and you see just out of their windshield some landmarks, and as native LAans, we're like, oh no, they're going the wrong way.
When I saw, I think it was like the exit for 4th Street and 5th Street, I was like, they're on the 10 going west. There's no way they're heading downtown. While, the next clip, all the other 3 teams are at the city hall. And I'm like, okay, Brooke and Robbie are out. They're not going to be able to catch up. And I think a lot of it goes back to what we've been saying in previous after shows is that they self-destruct. They do not do well under pressure. Yeah. And I think because of this mistake, they got really flustered and couldn't, come back from it. So, although you gotta get handed to them because, like Robbie said, they are competitors, being wrestlers, they are very competitive people and they never gave up. So, regardless of the mistake, they kept pushing through.
And even if they, their attitudes were poor, they self-destructed, let's give them credit where credit's due. They made it to the top 4.
They did.
Which is an unbelievable accomplishment right there. So, and they were great entertainment the whole way through.
Well, let's talk about that because we saw, this is the first time in Amazing Race history that 4 teams were entering the final leg. And Phil said last week that, one team would be eliminated along the way, on the way to the final, the finish line. So going into this leg, we see at the airport in Manila, all 4 teams. And when Amy and Maya walked in, they didn't really seem to get good responses, especially from Brooke, who is the most vocal of anybody, saying that she was disgusted, this is unreal, and she was not afraid to tell Amy and Maya, hey, I'm pissed that you guys are here.
Yeah. It's so funny because during the race, when you need everyone and you're trying to play politics, no one speaks their mind really because you might need that team's help later on in the race. But funny how you see it, the final leg where it's no holds bar, Brooke just unleashed and said, this is crap, and you guys would feel the same way if the roles were reversed. I don't think it's fair. I'm just letting it be known. I kind of felt bad for the scientists. I was like, come on, they didn't write the rules. It's how the race is, and you guys would if you guys were the 4th place team, the wrestlers, they would be just as excited.
Oh, absolutely. But I can also understand how equally as frustrating that would be because it just, the odds are now not what they used to be. But we see on the flip side, the dentists are trying to give a little bit of boost to the wrestlers by saying that they're low-hanging fruit on the tree and that they're not really someone to worry about in this final leg. And same goes with Adam from the Surfers. He said, I was hoping that they were eliminated, and it's frustrating that they weren't.
I think if Jim and Misty get asked to do a future season doing the All-Stars, I think Jim's one no needs to be, stop saying that people are the low-hanging fruit or they're the dumb ones or they're the underdogs, because these people end up beating you and you look like a fool.
Yep.
So maybe just stop saying that. But a lot of comments were online, James, too, people saying that they thought it was really unfair.
They thought the whole race was unfair, or just this final leg?
Amy and Maya even be allowed to be in the final leg was unfair, to go off of what the wrestlers were saying.
Right.
Fadol, we've heard from him before. We always ruin your name, my friend. One of our loyal YouTube followers. He said, I think it's completely unfair if they're allowed to do the final leg of the race. If the wrestlers get voted off because of this, it's even more unfair. I was very upset about it.
Well, let's go back to last week. Once we stopped our after show, we were walking out with Kim and Allie, and Jessica also on our after show was very vocal about how she didn't feel like it was very fair. They felt like it was maybe a little bit rigged to some extent. But I feel Kim and Allie were able to put it in perspective for us, just from a racer's point of view, that if you look at the whole season, the main twist that seemed to be in play that never really played out probably was the save. And so producers maybe had to anticipate that at some point the save was going to be used, which means that was out of their control. And so they had to anticipate an extra leg or an extra team going into the next round. So probably that's what opened the window for 4 teams to go into the finale. And I loved it, actually, because it's different, and I feel with the Amazing Race it's sort of repetitive.
After 25 seasons.
25 seasons. So I loved this fresh, 4 teams into the finale, and it made the stakes higher because not only do you have the pressure of the finish line is almost there, I can taste that $1 million, but you have the pressure of, oh my gosh, I might be halfway through that final leg and then damn, I'm eliminated. So it's a lot more pressure and the stakes are higher. So I enjoyed it.
The stakes are high. We were talking about how maybe some people didn't think that Amy and Maya should be in the final leg. I'm excited because they might be calling in very, very soon. So,
I just saw that on my phone.
So hopefully we'll get to hear from the racers themselves. They can get a hold of our studio. It's busy here. We take multiple different AfterBuzz shows, so hopefully the lines work out where they can get their phone call in.
Caller, you on the line?
Hi, it's Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Oh, hey, Amy. How are you?
Hi, everybody. How are you?
We're great.
How's everything back in the great state of Wisconsin?
I'm actually back in Chicago with my family for Christmas.
Oh.
And it's good to see everybody. It's a little bit colder here than it is in LA, but it's home, so
Amy, I'm so bummed that I did not get to meet you this past weekend for all the Amazing Race festivities.
I met everybody else.
I'm so mad.
Way to rub it in, Amy. You should have been like, oh, you missed nothing. Like, it wasn't fun. Because even though it totally was.
It was a pretty good time. Maya ended the weekend with, no voice. I mean, it was a good time.
Well, it's amazing that you're spending time talking to our viewers and callers when you are back home with your family. So thank you so much. And, of course, happy holidays to you, my dear.
Thank you, Justin.
So right before you called in, we were just kind of talking about the start of the final leg and how right off the bat this episode, the wrestlers, especially Brooke, were not very pleased to see you and Maya in the finals. I mean, what were your thoughts on how the other teams treated you guys as far as that situation?
We honestly, we expected it from Brooke. Like, I mean, Brooke's a very competitive person, but also immediately after she says that, she's like, oh, shoot, if there's a smart challenge, we're done.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, it was one of those things that she was a little bit threatened by us. And also, I mean, every non-elimination leg or every to be continued, like every leg that someone doesn't go home, you're kind of like, oh, you know, part of you is kind of, I don't know, you feel like you're one step closer if one team goes home.
I believe we have Maya on the line too now.
Ooh, it's a party here.
I'm here.
Hi, Maya.
Party. Yeah, buddy.
Hi, Maya.
Party.
Just when you guys thought you were done talking to each other, ladies, we've now brought you back together via phone to be on our AfterBuzz show. So hi, Maya, welcome. So
what?
I said welcome, Maya. So Amy's calling from Chicago.
Thank you.
Where are you at, Maya?
I'm in STL. I'm home in St. Louis with my family.
Aww. And we actually got to meet some of your. We actually got to meet some of your California family.
I know.
And let me tell
you met say goodbye to us, to be fair.
What's that?
You met my aunt, my godmother, and my cousin.
Oh.
And they loved you guys and had a great time that evening in West Hollywood. So definitely for the memory books.
Well, Maya, I was telling Amy I'm just so bummed that I did not get a chance to meet you ladies over the weekend, and I missed out.
And Maya, we just
It's
talked.
okay. There'll be a next time.
Absolutely. I like hearing that.
Fingers crossed. And we were just talking
There'll be a
about
next time.
Brooke and some other racers' opinions and how vocal they were about it when they saw you guys in the Philippines headed to LAX and realizing that you guys were the fourth team in the final leg. But I think just more overall, was there anything that you guys wish you would have raced differently about, or you maybe, because I mean obviously it worked out for you guys, but anything that you would change doing it again?
For me, this is Maya. For me, I would have brought a lighter backpack. I would have packed as many cute pairs of clothing. I mean, I was like, I don't know, I thought I looked like really cute and really colorful like all the time. I would not have packed as much stuff. But in terms of the race that we ran, I mean, I think I wouldn't have changed anything. I mean, the outcome is the outcome is what it is, and we ran a solid race. We ran it on our own. We didn't rely on other teams to pull us through. We played a strategic game that wasn't really seen on the camera that much because in an amazing race, it's sort of hard to show a lot of the strategy unless it's like blatant, like U-turn, double U-turn. But they didn't see that.
Very hard to show strategy and like mental strength.
Yeah. I mean,
mental endurance is very hard to show. Perseverance.
And I think it's always hard.
Let me just make this point. This is important. Amy giving Bethany the shoes in the beginning in the first episode, in the going on to the second episode, was actually a strategic move. People didn't look at it that way, but we knew teaming up with Bethany and Adam in the beginning would help us. They never would U-turn us, and they also would. Sorry, my phone's ringing in the house. They also would. Think of us as friends more than less than a threat and not want to go against us at all. So.
Yeah. I thought it was a smart move for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bethany would have been running without shoes if it weren't for me having an extra pair and giving them to her.
And it's always funny, and it's not just The Amazing Race, but any reality show, it's always funny to talk to the participants and just get insight onto what we saw on television compared to what we did not see on television. I feel like you guys were one of the teams that we saw get along much more than other teams. But I mean, come on, Liz, I'm going to bring up, bad thoughts, but there was ever times where you guys had big blowouts that maybe we just didn't see on television?
Definitely. We actually people have asked us what's the hardest leg for us in terms of like the race, and we both agree that London Oxford was definitely like the worst leg, the hardest leg. One of the hardest challenges was the punting because we just were not on the same page, let alone even in the same book, speaking the same language. Like we just weren't. So we definitely struggled that leg, and we were like yelling at each other for like 3 hours straight.
Wow.
So,
but we got through it. So it was, and we've talked about this too, is that we had a fight and early in the race, and then we figured each other out better, how to work with each other, and that was really throughout the race the only time we fought. And so it was good. It was good that it happened early. And it was good that we figured out how to move on from it, because one of our biggest strengths, I think, was just getting through the challenges quickly. I mean, we were horrible at the directions. The directions thing just was not our forte. But at the end of the day, I think that's why we were so diligent with directions in LA, like 12, and we didn't get lost at all.
Yeah.
And we knew that if we could just show up at challenges with other teams and continue to keep up our momentum, getting through them successfully and working together, we had a shot at winning it.
Right. My question as a super fan of this show, are you both super fans of The Amazing Race?
I watched it.
Yeah.
So whose idea?
I wouldn't call myself a super fan. I would call myself like an enthusiast for the show. I'm in love with the show, but I don't know if I'm a super fan. Like, I don't know what defines a super fan, but I'm like, I love the show for what it is, but I also love the show for what it does for people.
Absolutely.
So,
well, whose idea was it to audition for the race, and what was that process like for you guys?
It was my idea to audition. So back like years and years and years ago, I always said I'm going to go on the race with my future husband. Seeing that there's no ring on the finger, there's no man in the area that I'm looking to marry or going to marry or anything like that, I was like, yeah, so that's probably not going to work out in the near future for me running the Amazing Race. And one day I was in the lab, we were in the office, and I was looking online, so it was September 2013. I was like, the race should be coming on again soon. And I was like, and tryouts should be sometime soon, because I looked at tryouts before. And so saw that it was going to be an open call in Chicago. And I happened to be running the marathon the next day, so I was going to be in Chicago anyway. And somehow, I don't remember how it all kind of worked out, but somehow convinced Amy that, yes, you should do it. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, if you say okay, that means we're really doing it. Because once I get my head on something, I'm doing it. And so we went down to Chicago for an open call, and that's pretty much it. We gave a 1-minute spiel on on us kind of thing. They didn't ask any questions. We just gave a spiel about us. With some bickering, as well as some funny stuff, some sassiness, as well as sort of kind of like some nerdy science stuff. So kind of like a whole envelope of us. Yeah. In 1 minute.
I love it.
And that was it. We got a call back from that. So
very cool.
Was there ever a point in the casting process where, because you talked to many racers, I think even Jason and Amy at one point where they got a call from CBS saying, you know what, you're not going to go to the next round, but please try out next year. But then they fought back and said, no, we would be great for this race, and they ended up making it. Was there any point in this season or the casting process where they asked you to wait for a different season, or from the get-go were they in love with you girls?
No, I mean, it was actually kind of funny during auditions. We were just kind of we had our first interview, and then there was some dead time kind of where we weren't sure what was happening. We were like, oh shoot, we're on the chopping block. And casting was like, no, we love you guys. And we're like, oh, all right.
Oh,
and
news.
So, yeah, I mean, we're a very niche team. I mean, I doubt they regularly have 2 female scientists that walk in and say that they're working on PhDs in candy and ice cream.
Right.
They didn't even know if the jobs were real. So they at least had to give us a call to figure out what exactly it was that we were studying. They're like, is this real? They had to at least check up on that.
I love it.
Now, speaking of checkup, a lot of people have been asking because they didn't really explain it on the show. Girl, Amy, what happened to your hip or your leg on
we want to know all the details.
So, a week before we left for New York, Maya and I had gone on a run, and I thought I pulled a muscle. I wasn't quite sure what had happened. Next morning I wake up, I really can't walk, get out of bed kind of thing. I went to the doctor. They're like, yeah, you probably pulled something, just rest. Come back next week if it still hurts. Well, the next week we were in New York already.
Yeah, you're like, I can't rest after going on the Amazing Race.
Yeah, exactly. So I rested, and I was fine. I was fine leg 1, and it kind of started to be sore, but it just got progressively worse and worse and worse. And I came home. Pretty much the first thing I did was go to a doctor, and I got an MRI, and they confirmed that I had 2 stress fractures in my lower pelvis.
Whoa!
So,
gosh!
I'm glad I didn't know pre-race, because it probably would have been a bad decision to actually do it. But I mean, yes, it was painful, but at the same time, it's the Amazing Race. You get one shot at it, so we didn't really want to dread on it too much. Tried to have as much fun as we could. Tried to work as hard as we could. Maya was super supportive and kind of understanding where I was at. So you'll see that she's usually running ahead of me for 2 reasons. One, because she could walk like a normal person, but also cutting through crowds and changing direction quickly was really tough. So if I could kind of see where she was ahead of me, I could like not have to change direction so many times or speed so many times in running. So, yeah, we just tried to work through it. We were trying to be strategic about who was doing which roadblock or which of the detour we would choose. Like, we did the changing of the guard detour rather than the running around with the pancakes because my leg was already starting to bug me. So there's a lot of things throughout the race that we just tried to make wise decisions. You'll see we never really sprint to the mat when we're racing another team. We check in with a lot of teams at the same time frequently. I mean, we checked in with Brooke and Rob a handful of times. We checked in with Jim and Misty once in Morocco. We decided not to sprint to the mat because we knew we weren't in last, so there was no reason to further injure myself.
Yeah, smart.
Sprinting to the mat when you're going to be starting at the same time anyway.
Well, you guys are obviously a smart team, but go ahead. Sorry.
The med team was really good. Like although
they were great. Yeah, I was taking anti-inflammatories.
She really is. Like it's not like she was like running like bashing in her pelvis with like every single move. Like she couldn't feel that all the time because she had pain meds. Like the med staff was really good at like giving her like 3 heavy pain meds every day.
Yeah, so I mean, it's good to know that there's people taking care of you all. You talk about doing like the smart things, but come on, let's just be honest. Being that you won the Amazing Race, there's a lot of perks to it, right, James? However, come on, do you each have just like one goofy, irrational purchase that you want to make? It could be as small as like, you know, a candy bar, but is there anything that you guys just want to splurge on that you're so excited about now that you've won the Amazing Race? You cannot say I'm going to go to Disney World. It doesn't count. Anything?
Well, for me, I think there's two. Well, one, I've always wanted to go to Australia. I was really, really bummed that we didn't make a pit stop in Australia on the way back from the Philippines. So maybe I'll try to work that out. But also, before I left, I was like, Mom, if I win, like, what's the one place in the world that you've always wanted to go? And she said Hawaii. So I'll probably take one on to Hawaii.
Oh, you just won, like, the Best Daughter for Christmas Time award.
That is so cute.
All right, Maya, that's tough to follow, but girl, what do you got?
I mean, I'm really future driven. I'm planning on being an entrepreneur for the rest of my life. So I am going to invest my money, get a financial investor, and try to make my money grow the best that it can for the duration that I, you know, and especially like still in school and kind of like jobless, I guess, for a bit. But I also want to do a show on frozen desserts around the world in addition to consulting and opening up my own ice cream kind of chain shop kind of thing. So I need the financial capital to be able to do that, and this is a great kind of like free financial capital to go ahead and do that. But I may or may not. I mean, once I get a job, I might do this. I might buy a CLS Benz just because I think they're sexy. And I would love to see myself.
I'm like, we need one like good purchase, like a trip to Hawaii is really. Right. But all right, there we go. Possibly a car when you land a job, which of course both you ladies, I don't think it's gonna be hard for you guys to find a job after this.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. Let's hope. Let's hope. Right.
Absolutely. Well,
congratulations to you both.
Sorry.
We said congratulations to you both.
Oh, thank you, Justin. Thank you.
Well deserved, for sure.
You all are amazing, and let me tell you, we have had a fantasy draft team all season long, and as I made it obnoxiously clear when I talked to you girls this weekend, you guys have now put me in the lead. You guys are the ones that get me points all season long. So thank you so much for being on Team Justin, even though you didn't get it. Can you hear how annoyed James is? He's like, yeah, I have to hear about how Amy and Maya are on Team Justin. No, Team YouTube is on my team as well. So it's been so much fun though for all of us to watch you guys this season. And just know that we are huge fans here at AfterBuzz, and please, you know, even next season, if we would love to talk to you guys again and be our experts if you watch the future seasons. So.
Absolutely. If you're ever in LA too.
Absolutely. Next time you're in LA, you owe James one night out.
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah. We gotta go out there.
Perfect. Well, thank you for calling in, ladies. We appreciate you taking the time to do so.
Thank you for having us. We love AfterBuzz.
AfterBuzz loves you all. Hey, really quickly, ladies, one before you go, in case people want to keep up with your guys' lives on social media, where can they find you at? How can they interact with you?
So you can find me at Maya.
Right, Maya, go for it.
You can find me at Maya, MAYA, M Warren, WARREN on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Maya Warren. or on Instagram at maya.warren. You can find me. You can also just Google me, and a lot of ice cream stuff and things like that will come up, as well as Amazing Race. But hit me up. I mean, I'm a super sociable, fun-loving. Who you saw in the race is literally who I am. Yeah. So hit me up. I love people. I love the world. So yeah.
And you two are both just cute as a button, because I've met you. Now that I've met you in person, I was shocked at you guys. One, were absolutely gorgeous, but you were just so bubbly and personable, and it meant the world to us fans, me and you guys in person. I'm going all fangirl, James. Get me away from this microphone. Amy, what about you, girl? Where can your fans find you, Amy?
So on Twitter, I'm at Amy E. DeJong, DeJong. I'm also on Facebook. So also Maya, you can probably Google me. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me.
All right, you're out there. Well, like James said, it's been so good to talk to you, ladies.
Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Good to talk to you also.
All right, well, enjoy the holidays, and thanks for calling in.
Thank you too. Happy holidays.
Bye. We talked to them, James. We
talked to them. Yay! I'm so happy for them. And we should explain your shirt really fast though before we continue.
Oh, I didn't even tell them.
I know.
So, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, the microphone I think is in the way right now. But if you're just listening in your car on podcast, my shirt says, "The sweetest comeback in the history of ever."
Keyword sweetest.
It was the perfect shirt that I actually already owned before this, because it's sweetest, like the sweet scientist.
Yes.
And they were not always in the lead. They had a great comeback. So I thought the shirt was absolutely perfect.
It's perfect.
Oh, thanks, James. Anyway, now we've delayed our recap.
No.
Because, of course we would, for callers.
It's worth it.
Should we do rapid fire recap?
Yeah, I mean, overall, the teams had to go to downtown City Hall to get their film permit approved, which then took them to San Pedro to the Southwest Marine Warehouse, which they encountered their first roadblock, which to me was an awesome roadblock. Mm-hmm. Stunts are awesome. I thought it was cool because, you are in the entertainment capital of the world. The last time they had a pit stop in LA, you didn't really get to see them do that kind of stuff. For sure. So I loved that they did the stunt. Maya was so cute with how, she would run up and then be like, oh, she was so hesitant to do so. So we had Maya, Adam, and Jim do that roadblock. It was fun to hear, Maya and Amy also talk about how the glass was actually candy glass.
Yeah, and they got a little nerdy scientist again. I mean, that part was great. Here was my only thing, James, and I get into weird producey thing a little bit when it comes to these challenges. I agree. This roadblock was perfect for LA, with movies filmed here and showing you kind of how it done. This was one of those challenges, though, where I felt like if you got there first, you left first. If you got there second, you left second. There was no screwing this one up. Yeah. It was once you could jump off the mat, which you could easily do, you move on. I would have loved to have seen it where they had to
do more. And
I know that maybe there wasn't time, but just do more where it made it more of a challenging where someone in second could have passed someone in this roadblock. But there was no way to pass anyone because you just showed up. They said, okay, fall on this mat. Okay, you can fall. Okay, great. Now do it through the window. Okay, great, go.
Yeah.
And there's a cool idea. I mean, they ran out of this huge warehouse. They have pyrotechnics. They have stuntmen. This was a big production day for The Amazing Race. Let's really use it. Like I said, maybe there wasn't time for it.
So it came up short, you think?
I feel like it just came up a little short as far as there was no way to pass another team doing this. It was just kind of cool to watch them do it. But what was the challenge?
Right. Well, Maya made a mistake. It didn't change her
was a
gear.
Challenge there.
There was a challenge there.
Tiny things.
She didn't change her gear before leaving the roadblock, which then put Adamy. I put Adam and Bethany together.
I liked it.
Adam and Bethany in first place, which took them to Terminal Island to find the marked Coast Guard boat, which then took them out into open water. They had to save their little dummy, pull them back to the boat until they can receive their next clue. So that was kind of cool to see. Again, it was just kind of one of those placement challenges, but it was also very physical. So it was just really interesting to kind of see the teams just dive right in. And
it was also kind of interesting because then once again, Jim and Misty, they're so physically strong. They're very, very smart. I was surprised they're not strong swimmers. They made a comment that and they're we can swim just to not drown. But I mean, I guess I wish I would have pictured them triathlons, swimmers, runners, bikers. They do it all. They're the dentists.
Absolutely. And then Adam and Bethany on the flip side, being surfers, being in the water all the time, it was a piece of cake, a walk in the park for those two. Then we see this is when Brooke and Robbie get eliminated, and I loved how it actually happened, where Phil walking up to them and being like, you missed your call time, so LA. You missed your call time. We can't put you on set anymore, and that's that. So I just thought that was really, really fun. funny, very LA of the Amazing Race to do so.
But it was just kind of like, bam, there he is. Like there was no like, is he gonna come or not? I was just like, and oh, there's Phil.
There's Phil.
I wonder how long he was hiding in that box before he popped out.
Right, and then probably getting on a shuttle going straight to the pit stop. So the next roadblock the teams had to face was like the do or die roadblock of the episode. It was who can't contain themselves, which they were told that whoever didn't do the previous roadblock, the other one had to do it. So Amy, Misty, and Bethany were stuck with this roadblock. They had to find containers in this yard where they were marked with all the different countries or places that they visited over the course of the race. And then obviously the color that they had corresponded to a number on that shipping bin that they had to remember not only the number, but what country corresponded to that number, and then put it in order of the legs of the race. And they couldn't take notes.
When you say they were stuck doing this roadblock, that's the perfect way to put it, James, because literally you got so lucky if you're the one that got to do the jump out of the glass onto this map. Because and when you said look for the names of the countries on those crates, if you haven't seen the episode, they're in a yard of hundreds and hundreds of crates, and only a few of them, they all have lettering on it, but they're not necessarily, maybe they're countries or cars, or whatever, but only a few of them had the correct countries or cities that they'd been to. And so, oh my gosh, James.
It's, to me, not only physical, but it's also, I mean, not only mental, but also physical, because
just
that shipping yard was huge. And you're running around, trying to find the right containers. So I have to hand it to Amy, not only with, with her fractured hip or whatever. She was the first one out of there.
Yeah, and she was not the first one to arrive.
And didn't have a mistake either.
Yeah, no mistake. And it's one of those things where when they first explained it, I was like, oh, they have to be able to write it down somewhere. They're not going to be able to make them memorize all these numbers pertaining to all these crates. Oh, they really had to.
Yes.
And I think that to show you how hard it was, this is the final challenge. The teams, you could tell, sense that this was the final challenge. So, I mean, it was all or nothing. And the other two teams, both Amy and Bethany, did not get it the first time.
Oh, Misty and Bethany.
I'm sorry, Misty and Bethany.
Yeah, but I thought it was cute how Bethany started singing the numbers to, like, memorize them. But even then, that still didn't help her out. But yeah, because throughout this episode, you think that Adam and Bethany are going to pull out the win because they were so consistent with everything that they were doing. But because Bethany just didn't get the numbers correct, they lost that momentum and their lead, essentially.
I felt really bad for both Misty and Bethany because this is a heck of a challenge to have when you are doing the final roadblock and all three teams are doing it at the exact same time, the pressure of the whole season is taken off everyone else but you.
Right.
You don't know who got you there, and so I felt so bad when Bethany got there before Amy and Maya. And to see Amy and Maya get it first, you have to kind of be like, what did I do wrong? Like this was $1 million. I'm not trying to rub it in Bethany's face if you're listening. Sorry. I'm just saying, it's got to be hard to know the pressure, that much pressure is on you and only you.
Absolutely. So after this whole roadblock, it's just more of a fight to the finish.
Yeah.
Again, not really exciting. It was just more so just got to get to the finish line. I was so thrilled for Amy and Maya.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I really couldn't. Just from the beginning of the season, I didn't see them as the strongest competitor.
Absolutely not.
I mean, they had them on my team, but I thought it was going to maybe be the bikers because they were edited to be a stronger team right away. But, James, like, Mr. Television you are, and an expert in the Amazing Race, you called this a long time ago. Like
a few episodes ago.
We may not have said it on our AfterBuzz show, but I feel like you've thought for a while that's going to be Amy and Maya strictly because of how they're shown or how they're not shown on The Amazing Race.
It just didn't seem right. It just felt weird. I was like, there's no way they're not going to get a story out of this and then just eliminate it at some leg. We need to get to know more about them. But hey, they defied the odds.
They defied the odds. They did it, and everyone else. I mean, everyone was very humble winners and losers when they were there on the mat. And it was just a really interesting.
And they seem like a really close-knit cast. Would you say after hanging out with them that they are pretty close?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think when you race around the world with someone, of course, you're going to be close. But yeah, so for those of you that are like, what are you guys talking about? So the finale, of course, being that was on Friday, Well, Leo and Jamal, the Afghanimals, they hosted a very big party here in Los Angeles. All the racers came in, and for there's official events, some other stuff going on. But anyway, yeah, then TJ, of course, Tim and TJ.
Yes.
TJ was performing the next night in the town of West Hollywood, and so that's where we all met up. And it was really, really fun because the racers could finally be in a social setting. They could talk about who won, all that. So it was really neat to see the racers. And you're right, super close cast. I can tell you after meeting them now personally, the nicest people, just the nicest. As you know, you met many of them in the past.
So bummed that I've missed out, but I was just more sad that I didn't get to hang out with Jason and Amy.
Oh,
I loved that they were in town for the finale. I just adore those two, and I missed out.
Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, James, what would you rate season 25?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 6.5.
Really, I thought you would say higher.
There's more seasons that I liked more for various reasons, but for this, you had every element of The Amazing Race. They threw in the save. It would have been nice to see the save actually play out as like a part of the game, but it didn't because it went to a strong team. So that was kind of crappy. Excuse me. But
we've said much worse. I feel like than crappy.
I don't know. I liked the race overall because it was better than the All-Stars season, but there were just too many roadblocks. I mean, too many detours for my taste. There wasn't an equal balance of roadblocks and detours, and the cast was awesome. I thought casting was great. Yeah, other than that, I would say 6.5, so maybe 7.
We say our final thoughts about this season, and I believe it's still the final episode, but they quickly showed a preview of next season, and it's going to be all couples, and it sounds like at least 5 of the couples are meeting for the very first time. This could be crazy. It could be disastrous. What do you think about this?
Well, I've kind of already known the scoop about the upcoming season, so I've been really tight-lipped about it. But I'm very excited. I know there's a lot of conversation online about fans who are not very pleased. They don't think that The Amazing Race should become The Bachelor. I don't think it's becoming The Bachelor. Sure, they're pairing teams up based on maybe a compatibility or a personality test, but at the end of the day, it's still The Amazing Race. It's still the same concept, but at the end of the day, a reality television show overall is a social experiment, and this is just a new element to The Amazing Race that makes it a more extreme social experiment, and I'm excited to see how it plays out because it's going to be half and half. You're going to have couples who've known each other for years, maybe have more of a history and a past. It's like a race against, people who've been together and people who are just now meeting. And you never know. A team who's meeting for the first time on the mat could potentially win the entire race.
It's going to be fascinating.
Which would be so cool to see because it's two strangers putting aside their differences to win $1 million. And I think it'll be a nice, refreshing twist that might surprise everybody.
And then finally, before we go, of course, we cannot do our AfterBuzz show without all of our listeners and our viewers.
Shout outs.
We're gonna miss them. Of course, Allie, you know who you are.
You know who you are. I miss Snowmats. We didn't have Shannon, aka Snowmats, from Twitter really interact as much.
Of course, Kim Nam Stop, thanks for leaving your comments and thanks for being here last week on our show. Soul Brother, of course, has been amazing. He's really amped it up this season, I feel like, James. So Soul Brother, thank you so much. He says he's off all of our fantasy teams, though. He said he's done with us, James. He's going to be on Team Phil from now on. Just Team Phil.
And I think it's fair to say that Justin is the official winner of Fantasy Draft for The Amazing Race Season 25. But Jessica and I will get you next season.
Just remember
you better watch
this.
out.
All of our loyal listeners, just remember this. And of course, Sam Lane, thank you for leaving so many comments and being on Team Justin. Let's see also Fadal, Sunshaw, Silladog.
Oh yeah, Sunshaw still Hedgehog or something.
But I don't think it's it is Hedgehog.
Sun's still a Hedgehog.
Hedgehog. Thank you so much for all of your comments. Tom King, it's been great to have you. Thanks for sticking with us all season long, and we're glad that you love the after show. Here's another one, Mia Carson.
Yes.
We don't always hear a ton from her, but Mia says she watches the recaps every week. So we look forward to having you back for season 26. Almost done, James. Tina, way done for saying that you were going to be leaving the team Scientists. And, of course, Seal 3081. Thanks for all the comments. And Yeah, once again, you're saying Justine instead of Justin. My name is Justin, not Justine.
Maybe it's like a joke. He's picking on you. I don't know.
I guess. So anyway, of course, to everyone that's listening in their cars, on the podcast, or watching on YouTube or online, you guys are rock stars.
You are all rock stars. Justin, where can they find you on social media?
You can all find me at Justin J. Nichols, Nichols.
And you can find Jess on social media at Dress Jess XO. And you can find me on Twitter at James Wallington and on Instagram at Mr. James Wally. We hope everyone has a wonderful and safe holiday and a happy new year. We will be back in February to be recapping season 26 of The Amazing Race, and we can't wait to reunite with all of you. See you then.
Bye, everybody.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.